to our January 5th, 2026 meeting. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope everybody enjoyed their holiday season. We're going to begin tonight with an invocation for Mr. Lamar Henderson, and after that, Councilor Tao will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody could please rise for Mr. Henderson.
Let us pause for just a moment for prayer and reflection. If you can bow your head, please. Heavenly Father, as we gather at the beginning of this new year, we give thanks for the opportunity to serve, for the trust placed in this body, and for the community that looks to this council for leadership, fairness, and vision. May we enter into 2026 with humility and wisdom, guided by integrity in our decisions, compassion in our deliberations, and courage in addressing the challenges before us. Help us to listen deeply, to speak honestly, and to act in ways that uplift the common good. May our work be marked by collaboration over division, understanding over assumption, and service over self-interest. Grant us clarity of purpose as we seek solutions that strengthen families, protect the vulnerable, and promote a thriving, inclusive community for all. As we move forward together, may our efforts reflect respect for one another and a shared commitment to progress, accountability, and hope. We ask these things in the mighty name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Tao. Thank you, as always, Lamar.
Okay, agenda item D, roll call. Councilmember DuPont.
Present.
Tao.
Present.
Harris.
Present.
Smith.
Present.
Zhang.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. And Mayor Serrato.
Here.
Mayor, I'd like to remind the audience that if they wish to address the City Council, they must submit a green request to speak form located at the podium in the back of the chamber. Additionally, citizens can submit public comment to the City Council electronically no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Comments received before the deadline will be sent to the City Council and will be part of the record and will be mentioned as part of the written petitions and communications portion of the agenda, and they will also be posted on the city's website. Material may be emailed to cityclerk@cityofmerced.gov, and any correspondence received after 1 p.m. will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. Also, for those audience members who wish to hear the council meeting translated into Spanish or Hmong, please let our interpreters know.
Good evening. Buenas tardes, me llamo Mirna Zárate y soy intérprete en español. Si ocupan mi ayuda, voy a estar aquí sentada. Muchas gracias.
一种古多的刚好老朋友多，古多财路中呢，么呢，有那里头啥道路中，水塔么呢，财务路忙，么经济古路对么呢，古财路忙中呢，我真的。
In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, it is hereby announced that the City Council sits either simultaneously or serially as the Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and/or successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency. City Council members receive a monthly stipend of $500 by charter for sitting as a City Council, and the Mayor receives an additional $100 each month as part of the adopted budget and Resolution 2024-78. The Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency receive no compensation. Agenda item E, report out of closed session.
There is no report out of closed session.
Agenda item F, written petitions and communications. Mayor, the clerk's office received an email from Strong Towns Merced regarding public comment and emails from Curtis Thomas regarding agenda items H4 and H11. The emails were received by the 1 p.m. deadline. They were sent to council and posted on the city's website, and any emails received after the 1 p.m. deadline will be sent to council. Agenda item G, public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. The mayor may propose a further limit to the time available for all speakers at the discretion of the City Council in order to accommodate as many speakers as possible. State law prohibits the City Council from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period, and any members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon to speak during the discussion of that item. And Mayor, I currently have 3 requested speak forms.
Okay, 3 minutes each. Thank you, Jenna.
Okay, if I can get Tamara Cobb, Jennifer Flackman, and Mike Weber to the podium to my left, please.
All right. Ms. Cobb, we have an agenda item for the street closure.
Yes.
So whichever way you want to, I know you're smart enough, you can handle it in whichever way you see best. I think if it pertains to the street closure, it has to be heard in connection with that, but obviously talking about the event in general is different,
no.
so.
I know you're going to handle that. We've been doing this year for 10 years now. Okay, the reason why I'm here today, thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, staff, City Attorney. The reason why I'm here is to formally invite you all to the Martin Luther King Unity March and Celebration. This will be my 10th year doing it, but this will be the 29th event. I want to say that when Martin Luther King was killed, I was in the 6th grade. So I am a member of Merced. I've been here for some time. I can remember when we were not allowed to cross the tracks by the railroad, Santa Fe Railroad. We have come a long way in Merced. My senior year in high school was fraught with race riots. We've come a long way. And so I find it very important that we continue on this path of reuniting the community every year. This year we are celebrating immeasurable because that's what Martin Luther King and his journey was, immeasurable. We cannot measure his efforts and his visions. And that is why I'm up here today, not to speak about the street. I know that's taken care of. Thank you, Police Department, as well. And that's what I wanted to do, and I expect to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb. Thank you for all your great work every year on that.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker.
Good evening, Jennifer Flackman, Public Information Officer. So I'm here to remind and invite everyone to this Wednesday's last town hall meeting for maintenance districts assessment ballots. And that's at Golden Valley High School, starts at 6. And then our City Council Community Town Hall starts this Thursday at Stephen Leonard Park Community Center, starting at 5:30. And again, next Tuesday, January 13th at Burbank Elementary. And then the last one is Wednesday, January 14th at El Capitan High School. And again, those start at 5:30. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you, Jen. All right, Mr. Weber.
All right, first I'll say I'm used to being on that side of the table, not on this side of the table at board meetings, but good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. For the record, my name is Mike Weber. I'm the superintendent of the Weber Union School District. I want to start by saying thank you to council member Darren DuPont for coming out to meet with me in December. I'd also like to say thank you to City Manager Scott McBride for being open and receptive to meetings and having discussions just about future growth in our district. So I appreciate that from both of you. I'm here tonight simply to raise awareness about future growth and the future growth that's in our district and what it means to our schools. The Weber District fully welcomes and supports growth in the Merced area. And as someone who grew up in the Merced area, I'm also excited about the growth. I've seen all the revitalization that's gone on recently, the things downtown, looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. It's all been great. And it's been a long time coming for the city. It's going to mean a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. Projects in our district, the University Community, Mission 82, Tyler and Mission, and Girard Campus Parkway will bring families and opportunities into our community, opportunities that we would agree are much needed. Collectively, though, those projects are currently somewhere in the planning or pre-planning stages and represent 4,500 new homes. And that is if they actually build out. That doesn't include projects that are already under construction or future infill. Small, medium-scale developments that are going on or are not on the radar at this time. Perhaps the most important thing that I do want to point out this evening is a misconception that most people have, and that is that developer fees finance new schools, and they don't. Those fees often cover less than 25% of an actual school construction project. And that's only if the district has not already used much of that funding on portables to house students in the interim. When land is set aside, school districts often still have to pay for that land that was set aside for the schools. I'd also like to highlight that Weaver's 3 schools are currently at 1,000 per school. Students at the average school in the county, other than high schools, run about 550 students, 580 students per campus. So obviously, we're well above that. Even though our campuses are extremely
Sir, I
large.
apologize. The 3 minutes is up,
Okay,
but we'll look forward to future conversations for sure. Please feel free to follow up with us offline and or come to a future meeting and address us again. But
I will.
Appreciate your comments.
I'll
and
take
looking
the
forward-
second half.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Looking forward to future conversations. Thank you. All right. Anybody else?
Mayor, we do have one more from Glenn Camarda.
Okay. Mr. Camarda.
Alrighty, I will make this short and sweet. My name is Glenn Camarda. I'm a photographer here in Merced, California. And I want to show you guys the calendar that I've made about Merced. This is the 5th year that I've done it. If you would like to get one for yourself, contact me on Facebook, Glenn Camarda. You'll see them around town. I'm actually working on getting a couple brick and mortar places to carry them. Other than that, support your local artists. And thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
We have one more, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Evening, Mayor, Council, City of Merced. My name is Karthik Prasad here on behalf of Congressman Adam Gray. And Happy New Year. I hope everyone's New Year's was as warm, as cheerful as mine. It's been a very busy past 2 weeks, and through all the crazy stuff happening in D.C. right now, just wanted to go over some of our legislative priorities going forward, as House is going to be in session pretty quickly, and past 2 weeks have been nothing but reaching out to folks and getting their thoughts on things, because we want to be sure that we're representing Merced and the folks of Merced in D.C. Our biggest concern is working to lower healthcare costs, as a lot of folks' costs have gone up with this month beginning and in the new year, and that's going to be our biggest priority in D.C., alongside lowering grocery prices and lowering gas and energy prices. And just wanted to let folks know that if they have any issues with the federal government, whether that be Social Security, the IRS, the VA, any federal agency or any federal issues, don't hesitate to bring it to our attention. Our office is at 602 West 20th Street, just a couple blocks down, and you can give us a call at 209-226-6880. So anyone on the council or in the room knows anyone who's having any issue with the federal government, don't hesitate to send them our way. We want to be able to help them however we can and make sure we're doing a good job representing them in D.C. So thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always. All right, Jennifer, anyone else?
I believe that's all we have, Mayor.
All right.
Okay, agenda
Concludes
item,
public comment and takes us to
agenda item H, consent calendar.
any members of the council wish to have any items on the consent agenda pulled for separate consideration. All right, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think with the holiday and the schedules being different than the usual work period, we kind of, in my view, overdid the consent calendar. There's some items on here that I think merit separate discussion. So I'd like to pull H5, H10, H11, and to save my colleague Darren DuPont from having to ask for it, H13.
All right. 5, 10,
11 and 13.
11, and 13.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, Jennifer, anything from the public?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
All right, discussion or a motion with respect to the balance?
Second.
You guys expect me to sort all that out? First, Councilmember Smith, is that a new comment?
2 new comments.
Okay, hang on one sec. So we have, I think we had a motion. I think Councilmember DuPont was first. Harris was first? Okay, DuPont first, Harris second. We have a pending motion, and now Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, just two comments. One, I appreciate staff's vigilance in suggesting the switch over from YouTube to Facebook to further disseminate our meetings. I would hope that if Facebook is still a viable option, that even if it's not the channel of record, that it still continue. And then second, fully in support of the MLK street closure. You know, we've been having this conversation on other items about city sponsorship. And I just want to say that had this item been presented to us as a co-sponsorship opportunity, I would have supported that. Because it does carry some additional expenses to the city.
So can we just clarify, we're transitioning from Facebook to YouTube, and you said YouTube to Facebook. I just want to make sure we're clarifying correctly.
No, thank you, I got that wrong, yeah.
All right. And Jeff, on our Facebook, will there still be a link or some sort of direction to the YouTube?
Yeah, so for a period of time, we'll work with the PIO to make sure there's comments to redirect people from the Facebook stream to the YouTube stream. And we'll also maintain the Facebook stream at least through the strategic planning session so we don't lose anybody through the town hall periods.
Okay. Yeah, because we get there's a lot of viewers on Facebook, but obviously recognizing that YouTube is a better platform in a lot of ways, but just, yeah, being able to redirect people
Yes.
easily is important. Councilmember Jean.
And then for the record, are the videos still uploaded to Granicus as well?
Yes, we'll still maintain Granicus, and it'll still also be on our cable TV platforms.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. We'll call for the question.
You have a motion by Councilmember DuPont and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include agenda item H3, the introduction of ordinance 2586, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending section 15.32.080, state connection regulations, backflow control devices of the Merced Municipal Code. Agenda item H6, the adoption of resolution SA 2026-01, a resolution of the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of Merced, approving a recognized obligation payment schedule, ROPES 26 to 27, including administrative budget for July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Agenda item H7, the adoption of resolution 2026-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, approving amendment to joint powers agreement of the Central San Joaquin Valley Risk Management Authority. And agenda item H8, the adoption of resolution 2026-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending the salary range for the temporary classifications of Lifeguard 1, Lifeguard 2, Pool Manager, Recreation Coordinator, Recreation Leader, and Recreation Specialist. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
All right, takes us to H5. This is the transfer of a strip of land situated at 626 West Main Street. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Cardozo.
Good evening.
This is one of the two consent items that I was asked about by members of the community. I don't have a whole lot to ask other than I understand this item is seeking approval to transition ownership of this strip on M Street, basically across from the hotel, from the former redevelopment agency to the city. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. The staff report also, and it could just be the way it's written, but it seemed to convey to me that a decision has already been made to give that strip to an adjacent landowner. Is that the case?
No.
Okay. Can you clarify then?
Yes. What we'll have to follow the proper protocols of the surplus, if it follows the Surplus Land Act. And council will have an opportunity to weigh in on how that property is dispersed. What we're asking now is for the successor agency to transfer the property to the City of Merced. The admin report does state that there was an applicant who who had interest in the property, but we would have to follow the proper protocols to dispose of the property correctly, and that would go through the City of Merced and not the successor agency.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. So with that, unless there's anything else, I'd move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Smith, Harris, any discussion or additional comments, questions for Mr. Cardozo? Okay, seeing none, Jennifer, call for the
Okay, I have
question.
a motion by Councilmember Smith and a second by Councilmember Harris. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, to H10, again, Councilmember Smith, this is a $112,000, I believe, dollar grant from the Department of Justice to help combat underage drinking.
Yeah, I fully support this item. Just want to point out that this requires 5 votes for approval, and so I'm not sure it was properly situated on the consent agenda.
Turn to our city attorney. H10. Yes, 5. All right, 5-vote item. Additional discussion or questions, discussion, or motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Jennifer?
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Smith and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2026-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, to accept the grant funds in the amount of $112,026 from the State of California Department of Justice, Office of Attorney General, Tobacco Law Enforcement Grant Program, and approving the Memorandum of Understanding. Mayor and Council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes with Councilmember Zhang voting no.
Okay. H11, this is a proposed modification to a jaywalking ordinance. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the one I really wanted to get to. Let me pull out the red line. I've had folks in the community asking me what it is that we're proposing to do here. And so I know the Public Safety Committee had a discussion about pedestrian crossings a few months back, but I wanted to give City Attorney Cornwell a chance to explain kind of what he's proposing here and if enacted, what this change in the pedestrian crossing ordinance would do.
Thanks, sir. City Attorney Cornwell.
Thank you for the question, Mayor and Council. In 2022, the state legislature basically decriminalized jaywalking. And they did it in a manner where it controls law enforcement. They are not to issue jaywalking citations, with the exception of immediate danger. So there is a narrow lane for the city to have jaywalking on the books because it is a subject that we want to get out to the community to warn on potential dangers of that activity. So this ordinance does not restate the state legislature because we can't, because of preemption of jurisdiction. But what it does do is allow for law enforcement to cite if there is imminent danger of a collision with a moving vehicle or other device moving exclusively by human power and not attempt a roadway crossing under such conditions, which is the language coming from the state. So this ordinance just addresses the remaining exception from the state's action in 2022.
So on the jaywalking side, the legislature has left open the ability for us to legislate requiring people to cross in crosswalks. Is that right?
If there is,
if there's a crosswalk available.
are we talking about, but citing?
Yeah.
We cannot cite unless there is imminent danger. So that's B1.
Well, A1 says that no pedestrian shall cross the roadway at any place except in a crosswalk. Am I misreading it?
Yeah, no, you're not. I guess I'm jumping to the
That's okay.
enforcement part of the ordinance, but yes.
So pedestrians may not cross a roadway except in a crosswalk when a crosswalk is available, but then law enforcement doesn't have the ability to cite even if a person isn't crossing in a crosswalk?
Correct.
Okay. So then what's the benefit of having the ordinance on the books then?
Because the ordinance is a way for the city to speak to its public. We can do educational activities from this ordinance. We can remind law enforcement that in the case of imminent danger, they can act. There's other means. Because this assignment came from fatalities that had occurred in the city from jaywalking. So the task or the challenge was issued, what can the city do to help the public understand that they're still undertaking a potentially dangerous activity? So that's what this is.
And an officer, oh, sorry. Go ahead. But an officer could tell somebody, it says, no pedestrian shall cross the road at any place except in a crosswalk. An officer could tell somebody, look, you can't do this. You have to stop and go back.
But isn't this covered in the vehicle code?
No, go ahead.
The enforcement part of it?
It's all, yes.
I mean, I get your point about bringing this to the forefront, to the public and everything.
Correct.
But it's not empowering law enforcement to do anything that they're already not empowered to do.
Correct.
Correct, Chief?
Correct. The Freedom to Walk Act that came out in '23 basically said officers can stop somebody for walking outside the crosswalk, but there's no enforcement. There's no ticket enforcement for what, when I was on patrol, we would call it jaywalking, right? We would issue jaywalking tickets, which was pedestrian out of crosswalk. Now, in order to issue such citation, you have to prove that the pedestrian's actions to go into the roadway caused a imminent safety hazard to either the driver or the pedestrian. So that's where your enforcement comes from. Now, crosswalks, the idea, we've got to just take that out of your brain. That doesn't exist anymore. It's whether or not an individual has walked into a street that's caused an imminent safety hazard is the issue now. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very narrow opportunity to regulate in this area moving forward.
Okay. Councilmember Smith, unless you have more, Councilmember Harris?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Smith.
Well, just to jump back in, so I agree with the city attorney. It's a chance for us to message about this issue, but also on the civil side, if either the driver or the pedestrian is not acting in accordance with the statute and something bad happens, that could be basically per se evidence of negligence by one part or the other. And maybe over time that would create a deterrent as well, even if law enforcement is not involved. I did want to segue that the proposed red line also does another change to our ordinance. What's that, City Attorney? This is actually what I was asked more about.
You're talking about the standing.
Why are we no longer legislating that you can't walk or stand in the road?
Because that is on the state level. And we could not simply mirror the state statute because of a California Supreme Court case that determined when the city mirrors the state, that is a preemption of jurisdiction.
Yeah, so long way of saying whether we think it's a good idea or a bad idea. The decision's been made for us.
Correct, and those regulations are on the state level. We're not taking it
right.
like you don't have to comply. We're just taking it out of the city's local ordinance.
Okay. No, I got some constituent questions. They seem to think that we had sort of affirmatively taken this step, and I thought it was important that the community hear from you. So I appreciate your thoughts and discussion.
Councilmember Jean.
Just with regards to A2, the exact language on no pedestrian shall cross the roadway at any place except in a crosswalk. So I understand what our city attorney is saying in terms of like sending out a message. Now, I guess my question is, because it's in the ordinance rather than in a resolution of sorts, wouldn't a resolution make more sense to send out a city's message rather than an ordinance in which we typically have enforcement power?
Well, no, because there is that one exception out there where we can enforce, and we wouldn't be able to do it through the resolution. The imminent danger is still available to law enforcement.
Does that mean that if somebody crosses at a crosswalk and there's an imminent danger, does that mean that it applies here as well? Is that?
Yeah, if someone does not cross at a crosswalk, but traverses the street and there's imminent danger, law enforcement can step in for the person's safety as well as the vehicle, whatever this imminent danger that's posed. That exception is available to the city.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you. I'm sure you have.
No, I understand that. So I guess where I was going was that if they cross at a crosswalk and there's an imminent danger in that instance, does this ordinance still apply as well?
If they cross at a crosswalk, they're within their, I mean, then you'd go by should they have walked or not walked? The reasonableness of their crossing, I guess, would be at issue if they're within the crosswalk, if that's your question.
If I can jump in, it comes down to the pedestrian's actions. So if the pedestrian's actions cause a safety hazard to the flow of traffic, so we look at a crosswalk, you can look at no crosswalk. If you're talking about just entering an intersection, crosswalk or no, there's a duty to make sure that it's safe to enter for a pedestrian, right? Because in most of the cases I've ever seen, the car is going to win versus a pedestrian. So if you have somebody that darts into traffic at an intersection that has even a crosswalk at a 35-mile-an-hour speed, you know, a normal traffic flow, the person does not have a response time to react in time to avoid that. So there's a duty on behalf of a pedestrian, even at a crosswalk, to make sure that it's safe to cross, right, and not create a traffic hazard. If you're, you know, there's 100 scenarios wearing all dark, not properly lit, riding one of these electric scooters or on a bicycle where somebody just can't react in time, the pedestrian would be at fault even at that. The crosswalk doesn't automatically just give a pedestrian the freedom to go out into traffic. You know what I'm saying? There still is an obligation to make sure it's safe to do so without causing a safety hazard. And, you know, I always think of the families that are just driving home from work, that somebody darts out into traffic and they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. That always bothers me because they're following the rules of the road. So what we're just trying to do is align our municipal code with what the state says we can do to make sure that we're mirroring each other so that they're kind of on the same page. So when we do an investigation in some of these, we are just adhering to what the laws and our internal policies and our city policies kind of mirror what the state law is telling us we can and can't do.
And the resolution wouldn't allow that.
Okay. Well, I guess I was kind of getting to where, Chief, you mentioned that just ignore the idea of crosswalks here. And so I don't fully understand why we have the language restricting crossing roadway to a crosswalk when we're applying it across the board, regardless if there is or there isn't a crosswalk.
Can't follow where you're going.
Yeah.
Say it one more time, sir.
So earlier when Chief Stanfield mentioned that, just think of it as without any sort of crosswalk, right? And so they would apply it either way, regardless of, as long as somebody is crossing a roadway and causing an immediate danger, they will still stop that person, right? Now, what I'm saying here is that if we have this language that restricts pedestrians to the crosswalk, why does that matter when we're applying it across the board, regardless of if there is or there isn't a crosswalk? Am I wrong?
And real quick, my colleague, Captain Dabney, just reminded me, some crosswalks are light-controlled crosswalks as well that we still take into account. And there's one right outside my office, and I apologize for not even remembering it, that you push the button, the lights go on. That's a light-controlled crosswalk. That tells all drivers that the pedestrian now has the right of way. So those are controlled crosswalks, and I completely forgot about them, so I apologize for that too. So if we eliminate that whole idea, then that controlled crosswalk idea would go out the window with it. So many of our crosswalks, especially around schools, are light controlled crosswalks, painted crosswalks with the flashers in them, which definitely alerts drivers that the pedestrian is crossing, right? I think we all know, common sense tells us that's a different type of a controlled crosswalk than just a standard painted crosswalk. So I apologize for leaving those out. So because we have two different kinds, I think just for simplicity, we leave that in there, because we do have many controlled light controlled crosswalks still in this town. And I apologize for forgetting those.
It's all good.
Okay, you forget. Councilor Zhang, anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think my understanding of the ordinance was simply that we're updating it, and essentially at the end of the day, an officer can't really stop somebody if they cross in the middle of a roadway without a crosswalk, as long as there's no immediate danger.
He can stop, he just can't cite.
I thought AB 2147 said stop in there.
I think the language is no enforcement.
Yeah, I thought it said cite, but I could be wrong.
It is stop. Cannot stop.
All right. Anybody else? Further discussion or a motion? Councilor Smith.
So I think after all that, to me, it's still a positive, if narrow, step in the right direction. And we can road test this idea, no pun intended, for some amount of time and come back and revisit. So I'll stand in support.
Okay. No, I agree as well. I think, one of the things we hear about most up here is traffic safety. Driving is the single most dangerous thing that all of us do every single day. It's incumbent upon both drivers and pedestrians to act in a very responsible manner. And, simply put, we have, too many people who don't. And I think, recently especially, there's been a lot of, I think unfortunately this law has kind of had an unintended consequence of the state law of emboldening some pedestrians to act in an irresponsible manner. I think just my own personal observations, and I think you just see a lot of people going out in the middle of major streets and, creating a big hazard, primarily for themselves, but also for drivers as well. So, all right. Is there any further discussion or a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include the introduction of Ordinance 2587, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending Chapter 10.24 of the Merced Municipal Code to prohibit pedestrian crossings outside of crosswalks and repeal the prohibition on standing in roadways. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. On to H13, this is the Bell Station item.
Mayor, if I may, I need to recuse myself from this item as MCOE is a client of my firm.
Okay. All right, we'll allow Councilmember DuPont to step off. Councilmember Smith, this was your request to have it pulled separately. Discussion, questions, or, you had Amanda there too, so the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. No, that was it. I was just being a good colleague and giving Councilmember DuPont a chance to recuse himself.
Questions, comments, discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember Smith. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2026-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, approving the sale of the Merced Federal Building located at 415 West 18th Street, Merced, California. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes with Councilmember DuPont recusing himself.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for answering all those tough questions. We appreciate it. All right. We'll invite Councilmember DuPont back in, and we'll take up agenda item I-1.
Okay, agenda item I, business. I-1, Councilmember Smith's request to discuss council policy C-8 regarding council subcommittees.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, when I woke up today, I didn't mean to talk so much at our meeting. So just to reset the stage, at our two regular meetings ago, I had presented a PowerPoint to council for a proposal for a more formal committee structure. Don't necessarily need to go through the PowerPoint again. I wanted you guys to have it so you could see sort of what we had talked about and what there was unanimous support for. Essentially, I had pointed out that we were, I think, unintentionally having meetings outside of the public view that were veering towards the line, if not beyond, occasionally from informational into seeking and giving direction. And I also pointed out that our charter distributes executive and legislative power up here throughout the 7 of us. And so it would be appropriate to maintain this more nimble committee structure, but do so in a way that comports with the Brown Act and also allows the people who sit up here a chance to build subject matter expertise and get a chance to weigh on different subject matter areas. So I sat down, I put pen to paper on a proposed council policy C8, which the council had given me the green light to do. And I hope that I came back with a draft that basically reflects the conversation that we talked about. There's a purpose that jives with the presentation that I had made. There are separate structures for standing committees and ad hoc committees. I can talk about those differences again if you guys like. Appointments would be made by the full council. And also, as discussed, embedding some of our regional and joint powers authority appointments into the subcommittee membership, the idea being there, if we're building subject matter expertise in certain content areas, it makes sense to say, have our representative to the regional wastewater authority be somebody who's on the Public Works Committee. So I will just kind of pause there as an overview. I'm happy to take any feedback or questions that you all have.
Okay, questions for Councilmember Smith. Jennifer, do we have anything from the public on this side?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay, questions for Councilmember Smith or any comments? Okay, Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Smith, for bringing this forward. I just want to kind of talk about what our current structure is, and with this change, what council members' roles and responsibilities, how they may change in this transition.
So the question is, how do I think this could change our roles and responsibilities?
Correct.
I don't know that it changes our role. I think it potentially expands our responsibilities. Number one, the meetings being public, it's now going to be a part of the public record, the public discourse. Is something our community can comment on, our decisions, our thought process. So that sort of elevates the importance of the committee meetings. But also, I'm proposing that we appoint no more than 3 council members per committee. That appointment would last for the entire council term. Right now, we're redoing our appointments every year. So for 2 years, somebody gets a chance to be on, let's just say, the Public Safety Committee. They're going to get a chance to learn from our chiefs and learn about these issues and kind of build some subject matter expertise. That expertise would translate to the full dais discussions. Also, I'm proposing that each committee have the ability to appoint its own chair and vice chair. So those are additional leadership positions within the council that are subordinate to our presiding officer, the mayor. And so again, that's going to build not just prestige amongst the council, but also some responsibility and some obligation to do a good job at the committee level. In terms of operation, again, I think it's imperative, and I heard you guys agree with me 2 meetings ago, that we find a structure where we can continue committee meetings that are compliant with the Brown Act. But also, I think there's a positive benefit for our staff. We can set a regular committee structure meeting for the year. Staff is going to know when those meetings are. And so they'll know that at certain points in time, they're going to have to be ready to give an informational update to brief certain members of the committee ahead of briefing the full council. But also as issues come up, if they want to road test an idea, if they want feedback from the committee, that committee meeting is already on the calendar. The city manager doesn't have to decide, oh geez, I have to set a meeting and then try to schedule something. Everybody knows what we're driving at. And if we get to the regular meeting date, there's no items for discussion, the committee meeting can be canceled. But if we really want to capture this idea that committees are a nimble, more focused element of the council that is better able to deal with issues in real time, I think this structure allows us to do that.
One of the other things currently, how our committees are structured, no authority has really been given to the subcommittees to make policy decisions. Usually policy decision comes to the full council for discussion and approval. Would this change that process or that thought of having it come to full council in the sense of a policy decision?
The way this is structured is to more formally sort of do in a way what we've been doing now, where the committees act in an advisory capacity. I envision items being delegated to committees in 2 ways. One, by a majority of the full council, or by the city manager and the committee chair. But I think you're right. We would want to road test this for a while, but this is a potential structure where in the future or even now, if council wanted to delegate decision-making authority to the people on the committee, they could do so. And there may be instances where we want to do that, right? We know a deadline is coming up. We know there's intensively watched issues that have to happen in real time, like the High-Speed Rail Authority Committee. We don't have any decision-making power, but I don't know how the full council could engage in those meetings and those negotiations that the Mayor Pro Tem, the Mayor, and I have, right? So this does create that kind of a structure where decision-making authority could in the future be delegated. And there are other cities, peer cities, like Bakersfield, Modesto, Sacramento, that do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, a couple things. I think the ad hoc committees are, the ad hoc committees are very important, and this obviously memorializes that, and it states it at the beginning as well. It gives, for the reasons stated in here, the ad hoc committees play a really essential role. I think this is good in that it channels them and puts them in the right spot. At a time, having served on the council at a time kind of before we had a lot of committees, I think it's a big advantage to have the ad hoc committees. One, because it, again, for the reasons stated in here, it builds expertise, but also two, it drives work. I can recall when a lot of council members would express frustration because they'd say, we should do this. And then nothing, then it kind of, nothing would sort of happen. So it really allows the council to drive council's agenda and have council involved in a good way, which I think at the end of the day is more democratic because we're the elected who are responsible to the citizens. Standing committees, I think certainly could be a good thing, or potentially we'll have to kind of figure it out to see if it's too much or if it's how does it's got to be calibrated to the workload. My one little concern is that the city manager has the ability right now to say, oh, I got something coming up, and I'm going to call this committee or that committee and bring them in. So typically we have stuff appear and ad hoc committees get involved because the council will say, we need to do this, and the council directs it. But two, also sometimes I think Mr. McBride makes good use of some of the committees as well to say, I need to work on some stuff. So just having a way so he has that ability, one, to get us involved. It helps, I think helps all of us do a better job. And then a couple little tiny things, these are a little nitpicky, but the Public Safety Committee here under G1, it says council's representative to the COC shall be a member of the Public Safety Committee unless otherwise directed by council. We're not, some cities don't. We have, currently I serve as a representative, serve as the chair on that. The board nominates its own folks, but the city nominates representatives. So the structure is a little complicated. There's general membership and the board, but the COC has its own kind of policy for nominating and accepting board members, but I don't think that's just one little thing. The Merced Integrated, and then under Public Works, the Merced Integrated Regional Water Management Authority, again, I serve on that. And then does anybody serve on the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control Board? I don't think we don't always have somebody on that.
Well, there's an appointments committee that one of us gets called down for on an annual basis, and I think there's a rotating city membership.
Okay.
And I've been on the Water Management Authority in the past.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, no, I take your point that we can refine exactly what it is that we're talking about here.
Yeah. I think you said unless otherwise directed by council, that gives you a good out right there.
Yeah.
And then under 3, LAFCO, Merced's representative, the Merced County Local Agency Formation Commission. We don't always have a LAFCO spot. So we'll have, I think there's a gap sometimes where there's a Merced, but again, it says unless otherwise directed by council. That's it. Does anybody serve on LAFCO right now?
I think Darren's on tap if it comes up.
You're the alternate right now?
Well, I mean, if we're not, the city of Merced is not up for the position right now.
Yeah.
Since we don't have a seat at the table, we're not on the cycle yet. So, but if we do, I am the one.
That's the one. Okay. Yeah, because LAFCO has either 2-year alternate period, then 4 years you serve, and then it varies depending on or which cities. There's a spot for each city. It'll say it's Merced turn, Los Banos turn. Okay. All right.
So I appreciate the feedback. Couple of points. One, I completely agree. I think the ad hoc committees serve a different, if not sometimes parallel role. I would hope that over time that a lot of the work that we delegate to the ad hoc committees would go to a standing committee, just to reduce the number of committees we got floating around, reduce staff time, try to gain these efficiencies. In terms of the city manager's ability to effectively use committees, I think it's section 3G. There's the pathway for the city manager to direct work to a standing committee. I mean, I would think consistent with the Brown Act, if there's a real time exigency, we could just call a special session of the standing committee.
All right. Mr. McBride, your thoughts? I think my observations, you use these committees very effectively, or you have done so in the past. Do you have any, what are your thoughts, if any?
Just following the dialogue. I think it's all very productive. I know I've had conversations with many of you leading up to tonight. I think this is, it's a good effort going forward. I guess the one question I have, thinking about it some more tonight, is the 4-year term that does lock you in for a long time. I don't know if you might want to consider, this is not my area, this is really you for consideration, but maybe reconsidering after every election, maybe making a 2-year term so you've got a little bit more frequency, but that's really a council decision, nothing staff. I think as proposed, we can work with this, and we've got the flexibility for special meetings. I think this gives us a lot of ways we can do a lot of good work together.
So on that point, I appreciate you bringing that up, City Manager McBride. So you pointed out an ambiguity that we're going to fix. In my mind, council term means the 2 years that the current body sits. And this goes to a suggestion that Councilmember Harris made the last time. I don't want to get in the weeds on appointment and composition, but so the idea would be that whoever gets sworn in is sworn in. This council has a 2-year run, and then folks would sit in the committee seats for those 2 years, and it would turn over after the next election, however it turns over.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense to turn it over every 2 years because the council composition changes and, you know, there might be a need there.
So I think we can make council term a defined term in the definition section as a 2-year appointment. So I appreciate that point.
City Attorney Cornwell.
I wanted to just get a suggestion out there, and that is for the ad hoc committees. Would the body consider having this policy without naming the ad hoc committees and restate the ad hoc committees through resolution where it's clear that they are ad hoc, the definition and the authority, the meeting dates are all in a resolution for the committees that the body wants to go forward. And the policy is the framework for whatever committee, ad hoc committees that the board wants to use.
Yeah, so I guess 2 things. One, I think, I don't know if you're saying this, but if we're going to have ad hoc committees, I'd like to have those committees reflected in this guidance here. But to your point, talk about next steps. Assuming we're all still on board with your thoughts and changes, the next step in my mind is to work specifically with you to tighten up the draft and come back the next time with a potential first reading, but also, as you said, a resolution to reaffirm the currently existing ad hoc committees and how long they're going to keep running. I think I had that even in the timeline slide of the presentation from a couple meetings ago. I don't know if that addressed all your points, but okay.
Councilor Jean.
Well, one, I had the same question with regards to council term, but I think Councilmember Smith, you clarified that. The other question I had was with regards to the agenda for the standing meeting or standing committees. I wasn't too sure how that process worked. Are we adding in a section that has add to agenda onto those agendas as well, where approvals happen? Or are these just verbal approvals?
No, so this goes to staff resources and why the city manager rightly asked to slow implementation. I mean, I think that the committees are noticed and agendized and minuted just like our meetings and just like any of our ancillary commissions.
Well, I mean, with regards to, what is this, section 4, subsection 8, H, and then paragraph 2, where it says with approval of the city manager or standing committee chair without council referral. And this is with regards to adding an item to the agenda.
Yeah, I see it.
So I wasn't sure if this was just done during those meetings, during the standing meetings, or the approval from the chair happening outside meetings.
So we can iron out the process in my mind. This is probably where the problem is. It has to be on the page, but it'd be like akin to the future agenda item here. In a meeting that the chair would have to, the chair or the vice chair would have to refer a meeting to a future consideration of the committee. And that would be a part of the agenda packet for the public to see how that item got to the next committee meeting.
Okay, I mean, if it follows what we are currently doing, I think that makes sense. But as it is, I wasn't completely sure how that process worked.
I can take another swing at that. I do think that the city manager should have the ability to request in paneling a standing committee meeting or put things on the agenda without, re-asking everybody again, just like happens now.
Anything else? Oh, no. Okay. Councilor Dupont.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess to that section, how does Council Policy C1 play into effect? I know it's how we conduct ourselves on this dais and to get a future agenda item. So we would be creating a different process for the standing committees?
Well, it's different from the standpoint of C1 deals with the operation of the full council. This is the committee. You know, I'd be open to, amongst the 3 people on a committee, 2 of them have to agree to move an item forward to the next agenda.
And I'm not saying that needs to be the case, but, and I'm okay with the city manager bringing obviously something that he's more attuned to the issues here in the city. So I think it would be open to discussion if on a standing committee, if we have 2 members that want to bring something to the committee, or if it's just going to be a single member.
I think there's less risk and inefficiency, given that you're not there's a lot more going on up here, right? But I'm open to, other than, just like here, I guess everything is sort of informational advisory anyway.
Yeah.
But if you guys are more comfortable with getting 2 votes amongst the 3 to put something on a future agenda, I'm open to it.
Councilmember Zhang, the floor is yours as soon as Councilmember DuPont is done.
Yeah, I mean, just tying back to the point Councilmember DuPont made at the very beginning. As long as these are not committees with authority to make decisions and they're advisory, I don't see it as an issue. But if they are, and then that's a bigger issue there.
Yeah, they're all advisory. I mean, they serve the same role that subcommittees currently serve, which is, the only difference would be a little more formal and meetings noticed, some agendas. But yeah, certainly no, they can advise the city manager within his authority, and they can make recommendations to the council or advise the council, but yeah, certainly no authority in themselves. Councilmember DuPont.
Yeah, so what I think Councilmember Zhang is getting at is, at the very beginning of the discussion was maybe in the future a movement towards having some form of public policy decision-making and a standing committee. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if so, then I think having 2 votes to put something on a standing committee would be appropriate based on that authority to make public policy decisions on behalf of the council. I don't know if we're there yet. We're still be in the advisory role and trying to help council come to decisions and recommendations. But I think if we go to a full, you have the authority on behalf of council, standing committee to make public policy decisions, then 2 may be appropriate.
So I take the point that both of you are making. I think the way to fix that is to put a little bit more meat on this bone here in 3H. If the full council is delegating to the subcommittee policy-making decision, that's the end of the story, right? The 7 people up here, a majority have voted to do that. What we're talking about is the process of putting an item directly on the agenda. Well, the city manager only has informational advisory power anyway. So then I think you're probably right. The committee chair or the committee membership should only be able to place items that are advisory or informational only. So there's no risk of it being any kind of decision-making authority. I think we can do that.
All right. Anybody else? All right, Councilmember Smith, next steps, you talk about further work, working with the city attorney and bringing it back.
Yeah, out of respect for my schedule and City Attorney Cornwell's schedule, we'll work to come back in 30 days. So I guess the first meeting in February. Although I'll give the city attorney a chance to say no way.
Got it.
All right.
No big mediations or anything in the?
Bring back some money.
All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. From one council policy to another, agenda item I2, Jennifer.
Agenda item I2, adoption of a resolution approving the revision of the city council policy for distribution of city awards and other forms of recognition from the city council.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a presentation on this? Mr. McBride.
Mayor, I'll do my best. I know we worked on this sometime with some feedback from one of the committees, made some revisions. I know it's here tonight for your consideration. I think probably the biggest change here was just the discussion we had to try to keep the meetings moving quicker. There was a lot of discussion about trying to limit the number of awards, recognition provided during the meeting. And so I think, at least from my opinion, the biggest change is limiting those to 2 per meeting. I think the rest is really minor changes, unless someone correct me if I'm forgetting something, but I think that's probably the biggest change that's proposed in this tonight for your consideration.
Yep, agreed. There's discussion from the full council to have different ways to streamline the meetings and address the ceremonial items. And then, as the city manager said, the biggest change here is to limit those to 2 per meeting. And then a lot of other changes are very, I guess, just logistical and who to notify, who's in charge of what. Councilmember Dupont.
Thank you, Mayor. I was on Ethics and Governance Subcommittee and discussing this. One, just language change. Instead of a should, it should be a shall, so that we do limit it to 2 instead of it being a suggestion on 7A. But yeah, I think this allows for better flow of our council meetings and without taking away that ability to be recognized within a council meeting as well.
Okay, Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to reinforce that the special meeting we had where we had 4 different groups come up for recognition was very successful and was very well received by the community, and there was no time issues involved. We had lots of time to recognize the mostly kids who were involved in the awards. Didn't detract from a regular council agenda, and I thought it was going to go well, and it went even better than I thought. I fully support that type of action wherever we can to combine those awards into a non-council meeting.
Yeah. All right. No, agreed. I mean, it allows for whoever can show up. I know everybody's extremely busy with their schedules. And then 2, it brings people into the council and allows you to have, a more celebratory tone than having to go from, having to switch tones from that to a council meeting where it's more somber and serious. Councilor Smith.
Well, I'm sorry again that I had to travel for depositions while you guys were celebrating our sports teams. I thought it was a great idea. Kind of along those lines too, I mean, the 2010s, I seem to recall that ceremonial items were brought up actually before the meeting. So maybe that's another venue. I appreciate the subcommittee's work on this. I stand in support. I would second Councilmember Dupont's call for making that a mandatory maximum of 2. I did have a question. I think it's just semantics how this is written, but my reading of the policy is that any council member can request the city's attention to printing certificates of recognition. Is that right?
What's it say? Yeah, nobody else wants to answer. Jump in. Yeah, anybody can. He's got to go through the city manager's office. So if you receive a request, then you ask the city manager or the city clerk.
Okay. So then, this is just a drafting point, but on the very last page where there's specifications for how the proclamation should be formatted for printing, I think it should then just say with room remaining for signature.
So you want us to take out the 11 point and 12 point?
It says with room remaining for the mayor's signature, and I'm just saying if certificates, obviously that's the default for the full council, but if other people on the council can request a certificate, just say for signature.
Okay.
Yeah, or mayor or council member signatures.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah, that's specified. Okay. Sounds reasonable. Anybody else? Councilman Jean.
Clarification on just the procedure portion. So I'm assuming it's a first come, first serve for those two that are approved?
Yes, sir, get those date, yeah, there'll be two for each date. I think we've sort of informally done that the last, it seems like I don't know if it's been intentional or not, but it's kind of worked out that way the last few months. But obviously the city manager sets the agenda. But yeah, it's first come, first serve, so those dates will fill up. And I know when I've received some lately, I've asked, is that date available, which date's available? So yeah, first come, first serve for sure.
Okay, and then to Councilmember Smith's point, individual council members are able to still request certificates of recognition, and the contact information up above here doesn't apply to these. Is that how this works? Where it talks about specific contacts, who to contact and so forth. Those are not items that pertain to council members.
What do you mean? Because this is under E. The following information shall be included in each request: contact person's first and last name, phone number, and email address.
That could be part of it. So this portion here, if a council member is making the request, are we providing these as well?
I think you can. I mean, it says should. So is any, legally, the difference between shall and should is a big difference, as was mentioned earlier. But if you're just getting it, like oftentimes I'll get one, and if you're going to get it and go hand it out at an event, or you're going to go hand it out to somebody, then it's certainly not necessary. It's the information that, I'd let Jennifer jump in, but it's the information that they need to do their job.
Yeah, so it's usually information if someone requests it and they're just going to come pick it up, like we'll need someone's contact information to let them know that it's ready for pickup. So it's in for that instance. But if you guys are going to come pick it up and deliver it, then we won't need the person's contact information. But we will need, if it's like a certificate of recognition, like what it's for and a little bit of information, that way we can piece it together and names and things like that. I will say, though, it is very helpful if we can get these pretty ahead of time, because they are kind of time consuming putting them together, and that way we make sure that nothing's incorrect, we have to redo them, or if there's like a misspelling. So it kind of gives us a little bit more time to make sure that we can get them done in a timely manner. So.
Okay, I think that sounds good. I'm just not sure if it matters if we need to write that in here or not with regards to how council handles it individually, or if it's just public facing side.
Yeah. Okay. All right, additional thoughts, comments? It's an important thing. I think these things, the recognition certainly mean a lot to our community. And I think this strikes a good balance between that and also streamlining our council meetings as well. But these proclamations and recognitions certainly mean a lot to a lot of people. So good way to get the public involved. All right, anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Jennifer, what, we need a motion or direction?
Motion. Motion.
Public comment.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Any public comment? I didn't see any green
We
forms.
have not received any public comments for this item.
Okay. And Councilmember Harris, is that, allow Mr. McBride to step in real quick.
Yeah, I just want to confirm with the amendments that were requested.
Yeah, that was the, adding, it says mayor or council member signature.
And shall instead of should on, I think it was 7A.
7A.
Thank you.
Okay. Those two amendments.
And then I can clarify the council versus public facing when it comes to the contact information.
Yeah. And the key word too is should. Should means, you don't have to do it. So if you certainly have, I'll get a lot of them where, as Jennifer said, people will come to pick them up. So if that's the case, you need that information, but other ones we'll bring them out to the community. Then at that point, yeah, it's not necessary at that point. All right. Was there a second?
Just to clarify, Mike is adopting those.
Yeah, I agree to those.
Okay, so the motion is as recommended, but with the proposed modifications, which are the should versus shall language that Councilmember DuPont mentioned, adding council, mayor and council member, and then was there a third one? I think that's it. Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2026-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, adopting City Council Policy C2, distribution of city awards and other forms of recognition from the City Council. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. On to I3.
Okay, agenda item I3, request to add item to future agenda.
Okay, so am I right, Councilor DuPont, anything for a future agenda?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilor Jean?
Nothing.
Councilor Harris?
Yes, Mayor. I get a lot of questions and discussions from constituents, but two stand out all the time. Roads, and when are we going to get a Chick-fil-A? So I'd like to take the less important one, the roads, and I would like to put that on the agenda for a discussion on a comprehensive roadway project assessment and schedule. I know that the capital improvement program exists. It is incomplete at best as far as all the roads we have, and it's awfully hard to understand for the general public. What I envision is a master list of roads in our community that have the present condition, the level of remediation necessary. Is this a simple covering, or does it require a full depth renovation, and the estimated cost? Without wanting to burden staff on that, I would propose and would like to discuss the option of having citizen involvement in that, where they can go through and hopefully objectively come up with this list. Because if you leave it to us, well, we're likely to say my roads in my district are much worse. And the fact is that there's roads in another district that are worse than the roads in my district. I want to see those repaired first. So to allow the citizens to be involved in that process, I think saves staff time, creates a level of involvement that it's kind of like buying into it. And it's something I would envision a committee doing maybe every 5 years or so, just to go back and look at it. It's kind of a process that's not a one-off out. It's something that needs to be done continuously, so we always know where our needs are and what our estimated costs are. It's not enough to say, well, that's just too expensive, we can't do it. Because if we don't have the money now, then we've got to make a multi-year plan to budget for those roads. As I understand it, from discussions I've had with staff, we don't have any plans to do any type of road repair on anything less than a collector road. So the roads going through most of the streets, most of the residential areas are not in a plan for repair. And I think we need to address that, and that's what I'm asking for to be added to a future agenda, non-urgent.
Okay. Thoughts, I saw our city engineer, as soon as he started talking, he looked down and started writing furiously. I would, just a couple, I'll ask you for your input in a second, but big topic potentially for strategic planning, one, and then two, I think there's a lot of information already that that in particular city engineer would have about the current plans for certain roads and other things as well. I mean, the use of the asphalt zipper, the grinder, how we're using that, for example. It's been done in front of Hoover and some other spots as well. Potholing, tens and thousands of potholes every year filled, those kind of things on the smaller streets. But Daryl, I'll turn it over to you real quick. Just your thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor. There is a a standard PCI report that's done. MCAG is sponsoring that through the county right now. We're waiting to get that underway. And it will basically define every street in the city, what level of repair and need that it's in, what they cost, and actually give us a strategy on how to tackle that to save the most streets for the least amount of money. So that report is coming. I just don't know the date of when it will be delivered yet, so.
Within the next 6 months?
It's supposed to be already underway, so I would expect within the next 6 to 12 months, we should have that report. Hopefully sooner.
So at the outside a year, I don't know that,
We do have a report now. It's a bit dated, and some of those residential streets which you discussed are in that report that we could look at and maybe review that with yourself. or
yeah, I was
council.
told that report was outdated.
Yeah, it's probably 2018 maybe, or 2019,
I
sometime in
believe
there.
that's correct. So we are overdue, yes.
Oh, the PCI. Councilmember DuPont.
We are wanting to put this, I'm assuming, on an action item because there's going to be staff time involved in the sense of making a determination on priority of roads. Is that correct?
I think the first step is to get that list made, and I'm trying to do that with as little staff involvement as possible by recruiting from the community to take on that burden of doing the inventory of roads and the condition that they're in.
So we want the community to determine status and condition of our roads? I'm no engineer. I have no idea what road is better than the next, other than just saying subjectively, because I don't know that road is better than the other. So I think that's...
I think it's very much subjective. I think when I'm driving down the road and, you know, I have to move into the center or move off to the side to avoid rooting my suspension, I can make a checkbox and say, that's a bad road.
Well, what's the definition of bad versus worse versus terrible versus the worst road in town? Because we can disagree on McKee all day long, right? Which we did.
Right.
We didn't think it and I think Mission may be the worst, but that's not, there's no engineering or professionalism and a determination of a road status based on even my opinion without any engineer or professional information on it. I mean, that's why it's going to be hard for me to.
Let me ask you, do you find that there's value? Do you think it's necessary to have that list?
I think if we do an expansive list of all the roads, I think we can spend more time on focusing on the larger road systems that need to be fixed within the city. So I think it's a comparative cost of spending time on a large list of roads that the public is going to determine which road is good, which road is bad, versus an engineering decision of we need to fix these major arterials within our city. I'm gonna choose the latter every single day.
And then the neighborhood roads basically never get fixed because we'll never have the money to do it unless we can figure out what the cost of fixing them is and going out and either getting a bond or grants or something. But without that information in hand, without the knowledge to say this is what it would cost us, we'll never get any resources to fix them.
We don't even have the funding to fix Mission right now.
Right.
So so fixing a residential road, like the road that's in front of my house, I don't have a plan on fixing that with city money until we are fixing arterials that are heavily used every single day by more than just the community members that live next to me. So we barely, we don't have the funding to fix large arterials currently. So I think it's a cart before the horse discussion of we need to focus on our priorities of large arterial roads and find funding for those sources and focus our staff time on that and public time on those. And I can't.
I mean, you almost don't need an engineer to tell us that we need to work on our arterial roads. You know we do. You know we do.
Yeah, that was the council policy or the council direction given years ago too. We did back in 2018. Or I believe it was 2018. I could be mistaken, but the last time we did the big piece gave every road in town gets a grade. The piece, the pavement commission or pavement condition index, everyone gets a PCI score, and then we use that to prioritize. But obviously, the resources are much smaller than the need one. But the council back then, gave direction to prioritize the major arterials. I think you see that. But the smaller streets too, and the smaller streets certainly the potholing. You're not going to get a full depth reclamation, but you potholing. I think that the asphalt zipper holds some promise as well too for some of the projects it's done already. Overlays, small patching like that can certainly be done and gets done.
And that's an excellent point, because those roads probably don't need a full depth reclamation.
We can't pay for that. It's too expensive too.
They are expensive, but mostly you're going to find those on the more heavily traveled roads. But you should still be able to determine on those other roads what they need. Do they need just an overlay?
Yeah.
And how much does that cost?
Yep. Yeah, we've got, I think, Councilor Smith has a comment too, but I think the best approach would be, and I'm certainly open to better ideas, is one, Councilmember Harris getting with our city engineer, Mr. Jordan, discussing things, and then we can talk about this strategic planning. This is coming up at the end of the month, so that's pretty quick too. Be a big topic, certainly a good topic then. Councilmember Smith. I think it's faster than a next council meeting. Or faster than a 30-day out council meeting.
Thank you. Turning back to City Engineer Jordan, you mentioned MCAG is essentially doing an inventory of every road in the city of Merced or the county of Merced. Maybe give us more background on what it is that they're studying.
That is correct. It's the county, but each of the streets within the city will also be studied and included in that report. We'll have a specific report for all of our interior streets, and it'll be defined by the PCI, the condition index of each of them, what the recommended remedy is, what the cost would be for those remedies, and we can bring that information back to this body, and you can say we've got X amount of dollars and a huge need. Where do you want to spend that money, and what type of streets is your preference? So,
do you know how much that study costs?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd be glad to get that back to you.
More than 10,000?
Oh, yeah.
More than 100,000?
Probably less than 100,000 for our city.
More than 50?
Right around 50 to 75, I would guess.
Okay. I mean, I think Councilmember Harris raises the right point, which is streets that are less than arterial sometimes don't get the attention they deserve. I mean, drive on 19th Street downtown, it's a different experience than 18th Street or Main Street, right? But I think we want good information for decision-making. I think engineering staff is better situated to give us that information than the public. We've all been in situations where you ask the public and you get a skewed answer sometimes. I think that's Mr. DuPont's point. I think it's more appropriate to ask the engineering department what information they have and come back on a reasonable timeline, during our strategic planning process about what information can they give us now. And if there's a $50,000 report that's going to give us the gold standard answer that Councilmember Harris is looking for, we have to wait a year. Well, at least we're on the path to doing that. And, we're going to do our best to make good budget priorities in the coming year. We're going to be in a better position in 27. There's also discussion about potentially going to the public for a measure, which we don't have to make a decision on what that's about right now either. So I think we would be prudent to do a good job and move in this direction and not take too much time or money getting together a report that probably will not ultimately be what we base decisions on.
Mr. Jordan, the city's part of this MCAG study. Tell me again, Does it go to all the roads, or does it,
All the roads, yes, that's correct.
neighborhood roads included?
Neighborhood as well.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Jean.
I think it's a great idea to have a master list of all the roads, their status, cost for repair and so forth. I know, so Mike, I know it's slightly different than what you're thinking, but would it be possible to get a report on this first, right? In terms of what happened in 2018. So this way, when we go into our strategic or town halls, we kind of see if some of these roads have been neglected since 2018. And maybe that should be the first step, is to see what the past have. And then when the new report comes out from MCAG, we could have another report on that, and we could actually compare what happened and then go from there into the next steps. But I do think it's important to have community input. Yes, it's great to have an engineer evaluate the road status and their conditions and see what's going on, but it's also important to have community input of, hey, these are the actual roads we drive every day, and here's our experiences with these roads. And so I think it's good to have both sides of it.
And I think I wasn't clear about the community involvement. I'm not saying that they create the list and all list that says these are the priorities. I think they create the list that says, look at these roads. We think these are roads that need attention, and they can get more in-depth evaluation by professionals.
Daryl, do you have would you able to either bring the strategic planning and or make it available beforehand, the past document that has all the PCI grades for all the streets in the city?
Yeah, Mayor, we'll be able to pull that information together for you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. McBride.
Look, I don't disagree. Everything that we hear at all the meetings talks about status of our roads is such a high priority. But there's a couple things we could do too, and I'm willing to kind of take feedback from the council about how you want to handle it. If you want to do it at a meeting, or if you want to handle it maybe through your strategic planning. But you know, like, we do have resources for roads every year, right? We have a toolkit. We've got funding we use for roads. We've done a lot of work through our ad hoc subcommittee about talking about projects. We're kind of hitting a nice reset now where we're done with ARPA projects. Daryl and his team are working on new projects. I mean, maybe it's a good time to bring back something for you to consider, you know, maybe where you want to focus your road projects going forward. We've got a list of ones we've had on the list for a while, ones we want to move forward. So I think with the toolkit of resources you've got, the PCI we've talked about, there are pieces there that you should be aware of and how you want to prioritize those resources. And to the comments I'm hearing, you've got to make some decisions. You definitely need to get feedback from the public about how you want to use your limited resources. I think that all makes sense to me. The question is, do you want to talk about it at a meeting, or you don't want to do it through your strategic planning?
All right, Councilor Zhang, is that a new one, or is that? All right, Councilor Harris, back to you, sir. I think the big point is everybody agrees with you that that roads are a huge priority. Everybody agrees with you that we need to do better. But yeah, just the process of getting there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comfortable going to my constituents and saying, we're not doing anything but arterials.
Yeah.
You know, if you live on a collector road, if you live on a residential road, you're out of luck.
I don't think it's true. That's not true. I mean, I turn to Daryl, but work that's done on residential streets is.
We do have a list of residential streets. They're just not at the top of the list right now. That's correct.
So we can do it through strategic planning. Is it more beneficial to have a small ad hoc group of the council come up with what we think is a structured plan? You know, I think it's worth a meeting of an ad hoc subcommittee to do that. But the strategic planning is in how long?
January 31st.
Let's look at that first and see where that leads us.
Okay. Councilor DuPont.
I don't think anybody up here is saying, let's not look at residential roads. I mean, I would point to Public Works, and Public Works would say, no, we work on residential roads. So I think it's the priority, and I think that's why it's better suited on the goals and priorities, because we have this discussion. I mean, Mayor Pro Tem has been talking about Collins Drive since before I was on council. So like, that's where we determine our priorities. So I think circumventing the way in which we decide our priorities on roads, as well as we're going to have a free report come out from MCAG, I think goals and priority discussion is better suited.
Yeah. It's faster. It's within a month, too. 26 days. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be dependent on that MCAG report that if they're saying a year, could easily be longer. But it certainly has all the elements I brought up, and that's encouraging.
Yeah, it's like they were listening to you and all of a sudden got to work. Yeah. All right, anything else?
So my resolution is just to go through the strategic planning and see where we are from there.
Yeah, I think you got built-in discussion there, one, and you already got the report going. So, all right. All right, Councilmember Smith.
Nothing from me.
Councilmember Tao, you want to discuss?
Nothing.
Okay, nothing from me either. On to council comments.
Okay, agenda item I4, city council comments.
Okay, we'll start on my left. Councilmember Tao, any comments?
No comment.
Councilmember Smith.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great New Year.
Councilmember Harris.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Jean.
Nothing.
Councilmember Dupont.
Happy New Year to everyone. We do have town halls coming up. We also have town hall for the maintenance district, Golden Valley on Wednesday. So please come out and express your concerns about roads.
All right, hope everybody had a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. I think the city had a really nice 25. Thank you to everybody on the council, so many other people in this room here as well for all their hard work in 25, moving the city forward and looking forward to a great 26 as well.
Okay, agenda item J, adjournment.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember Dupont. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. And the motion passes unanimously.